And that roaring sound will probably be paying itself out in many households in South Africa this weekend, because the first semi-final of the Rugby World Cup will take place today. Argentina face off with New Zealand for a place in the October 28 final. Tomorrow, the defending champions, South Africa, play in a repeat of the 2019 final against England. Newzroom Afrika's Vaylen Kirtley is in France for us. And Vaylen, the last game had people biting their nails. What to expect tonight?
Thank you very much, Judy. A very good afternoon to you. Well, I'm standing outside of the Jean Arc Hall, where we just had a press conference with Newzroom, the assistant coach of the Springboks, as well as Peter du Toit, South African flanker, as well as Bongi Mbonambi. I'll go into a little more detail about what they said in a short while, but what can we expect tonight? We can expect a titanic battle. Of course, New Zealand go into this fixture as being the favourites. They go up against Argentina in a Southern Hemisphere battle. In fact, there's only one Northern Hemisphere team left in a tournament where a lot of those sides from the Northern Hemisphere were fancied to go all the way into the last four. But tonight it is a Southern Hemisphere battle between New Zealand and Argentina. The stats favour the All Blacks. Of 36 meetings, it is the All Blacks that have come out on top 33 times, but Argentina have beaten them 3 times previously, as well as a famous victory in Christchurch less than a year ago. So we are expecting a big encounter. A lot has been made of the draw, Dudu, the draw for the Rugby World Cup, because we had France and New Zealand, 2 top teams in the top 5 of the world, going up against one another in the very first match in the group stages. You had South Africa going up against the then world number 1s, Ireland, in the group stages. We had 2 quarterfinals that were sold out, that provided some of the best rugby that we've seen at a World Cup, and some saying the best rugby games that we've ever seen in world rugby. That was just at the quarterfinals stage. So the one half of the draw has been particularly strong. So in the quarterfinals last weekend, we had the top 4 nations in the world playing against one another in the Paris quarterfinals. And then in the Marseille quarterfinals, you had those teams that were ranked lower down in the world rankings, between 5 and 9, playing against one another. But tonight is really going to be a determining factor as to what to really make of the draw. Was the one half of the draw that much poorer and weaker than the other side of the draw? Of course, New Zealand come from the one side, which is considered the stronger side, up against Argentina, who came through what is considered the easier side of the draw.
All righty, and you mentioned that press conference that you attended, Vay. What did we hear?
So lots came out in this press conference, but also the Springboks not wanting to give too much away. Yesterday, Director of Rugby, Rugby Erasmus, tweeted screenshots that were shared with him by Kobus Reinach of death threats that not only he received, but also against his child. And he said, Rugby Erasmus tweeting, saying that there's no place for this in the game. The screenshots translating to, "We'll murder you when you come back to Montpellier." Of course, Kobus Reinach, the South African scrum half that plies his trade here in France and has for a number of years. Newzroom Stick, the assistant coach of the Springboks, addressed this first and foremost, is saying that we have no place for hooliganism in our game. We have no place for such in our sports, and we will protect our South Africans. They've given it over to the French authorities, and they will be dealing with it. The other thing that came out of the press conference today, Dudu, is that the South Africans not expecting the same team that they played in that 2019 final. New coach, new players, and maybe even a completely different mindset. In fact, it's different coach to the one that they even played against in their last fixture in the end of year tour last year, where South Africa beat England despite being a man down for almost 20 minutes of that game at Twickenham. So the South Africans saying, number one, they're expecting a different outfit, a different kind of test, a physical battle up front, but then also trying to play down the favourites tag. Obviously, South Africa are number 1 in the world. They're the defending champions. England, number 5 in the world. And the current run that the English are on of 5 consecutive victories is the longest winning run that they've been on since 2020. So they really have been a team that has been up and down and really trying to find their rhythm under coach Steve Borthwick. But they have done that at the Rugby World Cup, Dudu. So we're expecting a massive titanic battle, but the support here has been absolutely incredible. At training earlier on, before we actually came to the press conference, we had some South Africans, former Springboks, Val Bartman and Andre Fenzer, actually at the captain's run, wishing the team well. So lots of South Africans in France and wishing the team well. We're expecting 2 fantastic semi-finals.
Okay, Vaylen, Kirtley, in a nutshell, we can expect a humdinger. Thank you very much for that update.